All right, hey guys. So Sam here, back with you. It's Friday the 22nd. We're gonna finish up here. This is by request, of course. Close call for the second one here, but this is BitTorent to the dollar tether. Right, that was our second place winner in the polling. Now this is of course this is a relatively new project. You know, I didn't know much about it, so I suggested to anyone, right, so don't trade something you don't have some insight into what they're about. So this is what I use, right? I've referenced this many times. Again, I have no connection to them. I just like the site. It's just a good place to come if you're not familiar with the project. Okay, what are they about? What's their purpose? And you go, oh, okay, so it's on the Tron blockchain. Okay, it's about speed. Okay, interesting. All right, so where's it trading? Where's the volume? Where's the news? Right, this is because it's a relatively new project. It's not ranking high on their algo scoring here. That just may be because it's a new project here, but we can get updates. There's been a lot of buzz about this project. You probably see it all over crypto Twitter. Do a little research on it. Understand it. This is a good place to come. Just at least get a snapshot of what it's all about. Now I'm over here on Binance because that's where the majority of the volume is. Now so when they first hit, you know, it's a straight rip up. So what do you do with that? So let's call it impulsive. So whatever happens here, we get a screaming rip higher. Well, now coming down, there's some interesting things here. So if we just call this our impulse, I can get 5 down here. I get a diagonal coming down into the 5 for an A wave. I can get an ABC into the B. Now here, this is a bit of a judgment call. Once again, I get a diagonal here. So much like I have a diagonal here, I get a diagonal here. Now this appears as though I get an A wave here, B, and it looks like we double top. This is a tick or two higher. It looks like a double top into for an ABC, which would set up if we're doing ABC. Well, that's a fairly nice setup for a 1-2. Looks like 3 possibly. And this, at this point, I think it's reasonable to be calling this the 4. Now, note, it is again another diagonal. Right, as we're overlapping the 1. So A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. This, you know, we can get the diagonal. We can have the leading diagonal here. You know, you'd prefer, and you could probably relabel this. We could probably go A, B, C, just for continuity in the diagonal. But it's at first glance, I saw the leading diagonal being influenced by this leading diagonal. So with the overlap here, now I know the bulls want to think 1, 2, 3, 4, but I just don't think we're there yet. So here's a few things that I did notice. So immediately, so you're looking for, is it trading technically? So of course, first question. So here you've already got a bit of a conundrum here. You're going to use the all the way. Well, so if you use the secondary pivot, which is sort of my instinct is to use the secondary pivot, because this is just, yeah, you could go 1, 2. You could even do it here, 3, 4, extension in the 5th. Well, look here, if I use the secondary pivot, golden zone, reaction, 50, reaction. Now we come golden zone, we get a slight break here. Now that is enough, right, to flip the algorithm. So even though it's very slight and we've had a reaction off of the golden zone here, well, so then you're left with this conundrum. Then you go, oh, okay, maybe I got to go all the way to the low. Is that what they're using? Well, then you're kind of looking here. Oh, okay, maybe this is a reaction at the 50. We've been through the 50 now, but we still haven't broken the all the way, right? So swing low, swing high. We have not broken that yet. And there's a count here that might play into that. So could it be the A, B, C? Well, certainly the symmetry is not ideal in the C. But it does seem to be there's some geometry that's in play here. So this is trading very technically. So first I just started looking for some geometry in here. So I looked to the A, the B, the C, if I get that right on there. Looks pretty solid. I may be slightly askew there because these were really good. So this is the Schiff pitchfork here. So the only difference being we're going up 50% for the median line. Right? So sometimes when you're beyond, when it's too steep, you go to the Schiff is the first place to look. So this looks, at least I have a technical pivot here. So and then as well here, if I swing from the high to the low, well, we get a slight break here, but look at this confluence here. Let's see, you have to wonder what, so with the break here, this is interesting. So with the break here, the algorithm's going to flip, right? And then they're going to take the next 50 here, but look, they get denied. They don't get to target. So does this algorithm stay here and defend? Is it a ping off of the median line hit? It's hard to know. But it's very technical here. So this, now note, this goes right to target, right? So likely that would be where that little front run on the target. If you weren't sure, they got it cleared here. So I think this plays as an A, B, C into a 2. Now, with that established, you'd be looking for the 3 here to see, since we have an algo target that's been hit. So you're just trying to determine, could this be 1, 2, 3? And we've done an ABC. Well, of course, we're going to want to check some of the fib relationships. So if this is my 1, let's get right on that. And, you know, here I'm going to use the secondary because I think that's my 2. So we get just a slight break past 100. Now, we don't have to be longer than 1. And you might say, well, wait a minute. The other one looks like it's a little higher, but that gets us further through. So the more conservative would be to use the lower pivot as the 2, which I think in the Elliott count, I think that's what we have. So we get just a couple of ticks past 100% the length of the 1. So we have a contender for the 3rd here. You know, so you look and you think, okay, well, if that's the 3rd, could this be ABC? Well, the subdivision is certainly there. This looks like a pivot that we'd want to pay attention to. So here I'm going to use the higher of the 2 pivots because we know that's what the algorithm is going to use. So if I swing high to swing low, get right on that, what do we do for the 4? Least favorite feature of Trading View. So it looks like I can go A, B, C right into a 50. So if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, well, I've got a target down here. Of course, now where perhaps this comes back into play, if we start to put this back together. So now maybe I need, come on, scrunch up here. So maybe I need to use the all the way, the absolute low to the absolute high here. Now I get a little bit of confluence here. So if we come down here from this 50, well, we've got a target here. That's going to require a break of the 65, so you'd lose the buy-side algo. But if we hold here, it could be we'd get to the 65. Now, you don't know until you see the reaction down here. But interesting, the golden zone contender here to hold it, deny the target if they're going to play defense here and try and kick it out. Otherwise, we go down. It wouldn't invalidate the Elliott count because we could have the second go, you know, anywhere from the 50 to 786. That's your prime spot. If we're going to go deeper, which nothing says we couldn't go deeper, we could go as far down here as the 786 and get the second algo target. So we've got that as a contender as well. So it's a tricky one here. So I know bulls want to see 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, well, 3, 4. It's already starting to break down a little bit as a bullish bias. But since the Schiff pitchfork seems pretty good here, I kept working with it to see, well, how does it look here? If I come here, well, this looks to me like I've framed the market rather nicely here. So while the median line isn't really in play here, we get a little wobble here. It looks like the outer parallels here are framing the market very nicely. So this seems to be, for whatever reason, what the market is responding to. So it looks like I've got perhaps a little 1, 2. Hard to know, right, with as little data as we have. But I have a contender for this coming off of this 50 to get down here to this 5. And then since the Schiff pitchfork has been so good, well, so here's the obvious one. So I go here to this low, bring it up to this pivot, get it right on there. And lo and behold, what do we get? Perfect tag. So here's the dominant. Let's get it right on there. All right, so here are your dominant swings. So that's 1, 2, 3 Schiff pitchforks that all seem to be influencing the market. Here's the perfect tag, right? And then put that back in context. So we think this way. So if we go length of the 1 projected from the 2, right? So I promise you guys that's not happening randomly. Okay, so there are no random pivots. Okay, 1, 2, 3, perfect tag of the 100 and the median line. Then I just stay with the Schiff because that seems to be what the market's responding to. So note here, now we've got this upper parallel. It's giving us some trend line resistance. Yeah, we've had a little throw over to get to the 50, but if this is going to come out of here and change this count, well, we're going to need something big here. Otherwise, it certainly appears as though the path of least resistance is to come down here and finish this fifth. Now, whether we get here, we could go this low easily and get that second target. Remember, that's where the 786 was. So the whole thing looks like we're not done yet correcting the initial impulse. Of course, right? I could be wrong, right? So we could, we could have a truncated fifth down here. You're just not going to know. Now, is there a trade there? So for me, I would say no. There's not. I would like it a whole lot better down here because then I have a better sense of where we are. This. So what do you? If you're a buyer, what are you buying off of? Well, I suppose you can make a case that from the swing low, you've stayed internal, right? If you're looking to be a buyer, you're kind of in no man's land here. Maybe you could say, well, prior structure here. Maybe we come down again, but then it doesn't look like it's done yet. So if it's going to come down one more time, so what are you buying into there? The fact that we're going to have a truncated fifth down here, and you think you're off to the races here, or maybe you think that the whole thing finishes here, and this is going to turn into some sort of a diagonal. Well, that's not the craziest thing I've ever seen. So if we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to end up with a motive wave, and we're going to get a diagonal here, well, you could probably figure out a way to get this to finish down here. I might take a little doing here because the 2, 3, 4, 5, man, it does not look like it's finished here. So I don't think there's any reason to be chasing a trade here, long or short. You're too late to be a seller here. You wanted to sell the 50. You're too soon to be a buyer. At least I'd wait for the 618. If you're looking for a place to be a buyer, at least you could wait for it to get down here. Then you'd have a better sense. If we take out this low, then at least you'd have a completed 5. So then I still wouldn't buy that. I'd wait for the first push, and then I'd take, if it's a motive wave, I'd wait for the first push, and then I'd take the first retrace. Rather than try and buy the pivot down here. No need to. Why? Right? Just because we have a target here, that's not a buy signal. That's a place to look to take profit if you're short, not a buy signal. So that's what I see. It's very interesting how technical it's been. Interesting how the geometry is really. And I know it's very hard to see it now. But worth, right? So I always suggest that you do this. Right? Bring up the chart in blank. You won't remember all of this. Even though if you're watching it here to this point, just bring up a blank chart. See if you can recreate this, or come up with your own count. See what you get. Right? I'm never here to tell you that my count is the right count. No one knows what the right count is until it completes. Right? They're all just probability zones. But is there a trade here? No, I would say not. Be patient here. Right? It's too soon to buy, too late to sell. Right, so one to be on the watch list, but nothing to do right now. All right, guys, talk to you later.